Hi, this is Cynthia Rothrock. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be answering some questions from some of you that have asked what you would like to hear about on my YouTube channel. Joining me today is Robert Clancy, who is the co-host of Mindset Reset Show.
Yep. So this question came in, and it's a great question from Christopher Blade. He wants to know, what was your training like in the West Coast demonstration days and your training in general? And really, he wanted to focus on your daily regimens for both solo and what you did with the team at that time.
Well, thank you for asking that question. My training was always pretty strenuous and tough. Probably after about 5 months of my training in martial arts, I realized that I wanted to compete. I entered my first competition. I was an orange belt. I was studying 5.5 months. And at that time, they only had women altogether. So it didn't matter if you were training for 5 months or if you were for 5 years. All right. So you had to be all together in this group. So I ended up taking second place. Black belt took first. Black belt took third. So I thought I could be the best in this sport if I've only trained for 5.5 months and I beat a black belt. So I started training really hard and started competing a lot and winning. And the more I won, the more I trained. At that time, I had a martial arts school, so I would be at the school every day. So I would train a couple hours in the day, and then I would teach my classes, and I would train with my students, and then I would train afterwards. So I had a lot of training in. I competed in the first A-rated tournament. A-rated tournament where all the best of the best comes, and it was in New Jersey. And I knew about all these people from reading about them in the magazines, and I competed, and I won first place. Everybody was in an uproar. Who's this girl? Where she came out of nowhere, and she beat the number one people, right? So everybody said, you need to continue on this professional circuit. So I said, okay. So I went to Chicago, won that. And I met George Chung from the West Coast demonstration team. And Ernie Reyes was there, and little Ernie Reyes. And they said, yeah, well, there's a big tournament in California, in Sacramento. Why don't you come out for that? And we could find a place for you to stay. You could stay in a room right next to the school. You know, this woman we know has an extra room. So this is my opportunity to get out of Scranton and go to California. So I planned on going for a month. So I went out and I would train at the West Coast school because they were right next to the room I was staying. And I just was fascinated with the team. I mean, what I was watching, they were doing sickles all in unison. And these were the real heavy ones. These weren't the little light ones that, you could flick around like nothing today. These were the real deal, sharp. And I would watch, and we ended up competing in California, and I won. I beat the girls from the West Coast demonstration team. And then I was like, I like California. And they said, why don't you stay here and be part of the West Coast demonstration team? So I called my mom. I said, I'm not coming back. I'm moving to California. And my mom's like, California is going to have an earthquake and fall in the ocean. I said, all right, I will deal with that. I'm moving to California. So then I became part of the West Coast demonstration team. Now, we trained, Ernie Reyes was very strict. We trained every single day for hours on end, and precision and jumping kicks. And if you go back into the old days, that was pretty awesome for back in that time. George Chung and I, actually, George was one of the, John Chung created musical form with June Rhee. June Rhee, they did, I think, To the Star Spangled Banner or America the Beautiful, one of those songs. He created a musical form for it. Well, George took it another step, and he went to popular music, and he's the one that created open forms. He's the one they started having open form division with music. So we created partner forms. That one didn't really go off too good. It was, I remember, I think it was Last American Hero, the song, where we were putting some dance moves together and doing martial arts. I think it was a little bit before its time. And that's where I created the Rothrock Sting, the kick where I kick over my head, and we used that in demonstrations. And it was just fun. The West Coast demonstration team was very creative. I remember we doing skits to Grease, where we would be all dressed in Grease costumes and doing things. And we did like I'm too sexy for my body and don't touch this. I mean, it was always a unity of forms. And I remember we all stuck together. The team wasn't that big at that time. I'd say maybe there was like 12 or so. And we all used to stay in the same room when we traveled together. And I remember Ernie would take mattresses off the bed, and we'd have a mattress here on the floor, mattress here, mattress there, and we were all staying in the same room. And I'm a light sleeper, and all of a sudden we're all sleeping, and I remember Darren Pang was one of the team members, and they left the door open slightly for him because he was a youngster, wanted to go out and have fun and come back later. Well, the door opens, and all of a sudden I jump up in the bed, I take a fighting stance, and I said, "Who are you?" Right? It was just hearing it and getting up. And then Ernie Reyes jumped up, and here it was a guy that was breaking into our room, and they used to call it the boom box, and he stole that. Ernie ran out after him, and we were in a hotel lobby. He ran across and went into a room, and Ernie's out there in his underwear yelling at him, and Helen Chong, who was a female competitor, was downstairs looking at Ernie in his underwear going, "I think I died and went to heaven," right? So Ernie runs back, gets his pants, call the police. We go in, I didn't go, but they called the police, and they were staying by the door. They got the boom box and everything. So that was like one of our funny excursions. But we used to travel together all over the place. It was the first really demonstration team to travel, and then later on everybody started coming up with demonstration teams. So West Coast was very, very creative, innovative. We had so many. That's when I was brought into wushu, because he was taking some wushu, and I was like, I got to learn this. So I started studying wushu with Roger Tung. And I think, it was just a championship attitude. You just lived martial arts training, that's what it was. And that actually helped me with being on the West Coast demonstration team, helped me to get a little bit more theatrical in my form, because a lot of times, when you see form, I was undefeated for 5 years in a row, and that was maybe competing 150 times undefeated. And then I retired number one. It's not just doing movements. It's your facial expressions. It's that feeling. I call it the warrior spirit, getting that feeling that you're really fighting someone and you have that look on your face. And I think I learned a lot, like from the West Coast demonstration team for performance for that. So, yeah, so it was tough days, training days. We trained really hard, and that's all what your number one focus had to be was training for competition and training for the team.
Well, thank you so much for all this backstory on that. I'm sure everyone's going to love hearing these stories and seeing some of the things that went on before you went on to your movie career, and that's really what sparked it. So I appreciate you for sharing all of that.
Well, actually, that's how I got to get involved in movies, because Yun Kuei, I think I mentioned this before in another video, Yun Kuei came to California, and they wanted the guys from the West Coast demonstration team to come down and audition because they were looking for a new Bruce Lee. And the girls came, and then they ended up going with me instead of the guys. But that's kind of, I think maybe if I wasn't on the West Coast demonstration team, I might not have gone to LA and auditioned for Yun Kuei. And maybe I would have had a whole different career. I might not have been in a film. So in a way, I kind of, thank Ernie Reyes for that. It's kind of a big mentor in my life and the path of which my life has traveled. So, well, thank you guys. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it if you're not, and put a like on the video. It helps. And also, if you get a chance, go to my website, CynthiaRothrock.com. All right, thanks, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for the questions. Remember, again, thank you, Christopher, for that. If anybody has any specific questions you want to know, I have the time now. I'm home, and I can answer for you. So take care. God bless. Hi, this is Cynthia Rothrock. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. And if you like the videos, please put a like on it and refer it to your friends.